Hello, good evening, everyone. As we talk about this India versus England Test Series 2025, what an iconic Test Series, what a phenomenal Test Series it has been. So much of drama, and it was almost going through the life cycles in just a few weeks' time. The disappointments, the heartbreaks, the injuries, the frayed tempers, and then the resilience and the fight back and the wins. I mean, whatever one can think about one's life cycle in full has happened in this last couple of weeks in this test series between India and England. What a magnificent, what a phenomenal test series it has been, and one for the ages, I must say. And today, in this short video, I want to compare with some of the best test series that has been played across the eras. And for that, first I have to really go deep into the last century. The first that kind of test series, that close fighting test series that comes to my mind was the 1936-37 Ashes series in Australia. England versus Australia. Australia led by Sir Don Bradman. They lost the first two tests to go 2-0 down in the series, and then they won the next two to level the series at 2-all and win the final test to win the series 3-2. That was a brilliant, test series win. Although the test matches of the series were won or lost by bigger margins, so the test matches were one-sided. They were not very close test matches as it has been in this particular series or in some of the other series that I'm going to discuss. But then very, very fine, very exciting series all the same. Then the next one which comes to my mind was the 1960-61 West Indies versus Australia, the tightest series. West Indies winning the first test as Brisbane was tied. That was a historic test match, an iconic test match. It was tied, and then Australia winning the next test, West Indies winning the third test, so it was 1-all for the series, and Australia almost on the verge of defeating the fourth with 9 wickets down in a chase. The fourth innings managed to draw it, so it was all up for grabs on the fifth test match, which Australia won to win the series 2-1. Brilliant victory in the series. Richie Benaud's team. It was iconic test series, of course, ignited by that tight test match. Then I have to come to 1973, 74-75, the West Indies versus India test series in India. That was also quite a series. That was West Indies winning the first two tests at Bangalore and Delhi, with Greenwich, Richards, everyone is scoring hundreds, and then of course India fighting back with Vishwanath's 100 and great bowling by Chandra, winning the third test at Calcutta and fourth test at Madras to make it 2-all, and finally, but then Clive Lloyd had other ideas, and that brilliant double hundred ensured the skipper Clive Lloyd ensured that West Indies win the series 3-2. It was a one heck of a test series, that in India versus West Indies in 1974. Oh, most memorable test series indeed. And then we have to come to the 1977-78 India versus Australia test series in Australia. Oh, that was an absolute heck of a series once again. Australia, or without some of the star players, because they had all joined the World Series cricket under Gary Packer, so they were banned from the mainstream test cricket. So Australia had to feed a mainstream makeshift team led by Bobby Simpson. Bishan Bedi was leading India, and India actually managed to lose the first two tests by narrow margins at Brisbane and Perth, and then won the next two tests by huge margins, with Chandrasekhar coming good. The next two tests at Melbourne and Sydney to make it the series 2-all. But then, in a high-scoring thriller at Adelaide, India lost the final test in the sixth day of the test match by just 45 runs to lose that series 3-2. But it was an absolutely magnificent and iconic test series between India and Australia, one of the most memorable test series ever played. So after that, of course, we come towards the 20th century. Not many exciting test series of that magnitude in the 1980s, maybe 1990s as well. But then we come to this magnificent 2001 test series between India and Australia. Australia were a world-beating side at the moment, invincible under Steve Waugh, but then India really fought back very hard under a young captain Saurav Ganguly. The first test was Australia absolutely blew away India by a big margin, with Adam Gilchrist, Matthew Hayden scoring hundreds, and the bowlers absolutely blowing away the Indian batting. Big win by Australia. So it was almost the next two tests. It was expected that they will just blow away India and take this win. But then out came VVS Lakshman, fight back by India at Calcutta. Lakshman and Dravid's brilliant fight back, and Harbhajan Singh's bowling, taking India to a memorable win at Calcutta, iconic victory to make it 1-all for the series. And the third test was played in Chennai, very very close test match. India winning by 2 wickets to win the series, although a three-test match series, but it was an absolutely high score and a high voltage and exciting test series. India winning it by 2-1 in sensational fashion after a real thriller, and it was an epic test series between India and Australia for the Border Gavaskar Trophy, and India winning it 2-1 in most exciting fashion, beating the world-beating Steve Waugh's team. Well, after that, of course, we had that very, very iconic 2005 Ashes series, which, according to many experts, is one of the finest test series they ever played. And that England versus Australia series, first test at Lords, Australia won by a huge margin, and then England coming back in the next test match, Baston winning by 2 runs to in a absolutely exciting and most phenomenal test victory ever. So that was 2-all, and then Australia drawing the third test with 9 wickets down in the fourth innings. Ricky Ponting's 100 saving Australia the game. But the fourth test match, England winning in the fourth innings chase, a small chase, but a very nervy chase. They lost a few wickets in the heap towards the end, but then managed to win by probably 3 wickets. That was to take the lead in the series. The final test was played in the Oval, so Australia was not going to win the series. They had to draw the series, but the Oval test match was drawn. There was some rain, high-scoring test. So Australia losing that series, world champion sides Australia losing the series to England 2-1, and England winning the series against Australia after a long time to regain the Ashes, in fact. So that 2005 series was one phenomenal test series. And then we have got we come down to the Ashes series again in England, 2019. Steve Smith's brilliant batting show in that series, and Ben Stokes' iconic innings in that particular series. I think it was a absolutely magnificent test series that was played. Steve Smith's twin hundreds taking Australia to win the first test, and then draw in the Lords, and then England winning with Ben Stokes' iconic that fourth innings 100, England winning by 1 wicket, and the third test to level the series, and Australia winning by a big margin the fourth test to go once again 2-1 up, and then England winning the final test just over to square the series. And that was a great Ashes series. And another Ashes series came in the 2023, after 4 years. Pat Cummins, the captain, had a brilliant win. He led Australia to a brilliant win with the bat in the first test, in the first test, and then of course winning the next test at Lords after just keeping away Ben Stokes' brilliance. So 2-0 Australia, and then England coming back and winning the third test. The fourth test at Manchester in England was dominating, but it was washed out by rain. And then the fifth test, England winning at Oval to level the series 2-all. That was yet another memorable Ashes series. In the meantime, I just forgot to mention one series in 1999 between Australia and West Indies. In West Indies, when Australia won the first test with Blan Lara's brilliant batting, helped West Indies to go ahead 2-1 in the series. That was a 4-test series. And then Australia once again coming back to win the final test to level the series. Steve was Australia almost on the verge of losing, but then they won the final test to level the series 2-all. That was yet another very exciting test series, and that had some really good test matches, particularly the one which Lara won with 1 wicket at hand with that iconic 153. So that was also another very good test series, if I have to say. And then, of course, finally, this India versus England 2025. India were not expected to even draw the series, and all the expectation was that England is going to win the series maybe 3-1, maybe 4-1, or maybe 5-0. But then it didn't happen that way. A young Indian team under Shubman Gill with a lot of stars, superstars retiring recently. They came to England, batted brilliantly. They could have won the all the first three tests, but then they won only one of the first three tests and lost the first and the third test. England played better in the last two tests. They could have won in Manchester, but India gallantly drew the test at Manchester to keep the series score to 2-1, and then finally winning in that hectic test match at Oval, that final day. Wow, what a final day. It was 1 hour, but it was almost a draining, energy sapping, draining, physically, mentally draining day when Mohammad Siraj took the final wicket, India winning by 6 runs. One of the most iconic test matches, one of the most iconic series, India-England series ending 2-all. I think it ranks among some of the best. I think this test series, India versus England, was one of my favorites. But I once again have to say that Australia versus India in 2021 was another great series, which I really need to mention, the Border Gavaskar series in Australia. First test match, Adelaide, Australia blew away India for 36 all out in the second innings to take the lead, and then India coming back with Virat Kohli going home. India with the new vice captain Ajinkya Rahane taking the team to a win at Melbourne, he himself hitting 100. India almost on the verge of losing at Sydney, staved off with a draw, with Rishabh Pant batting very well. And the fourth test at Gabba, playing almost a totally second string bowling attack with the main bowlers all injured. So many injuries. India brought out absolute C team to beat a full strength Australia in the final test, chasing down 329. They won by 3 wickets, Rishabh Pant scoring 89, Shubman Gill 91. It was a brilliant win at Gabba, one of the iconic test matches, one of the iconic test series. Of course, India beating Australia 2-1 in the final test with some absolutely brilliant test matches. But this England versus India test matches, most of the test matches, almost all the test matches were very, very closely fought. Series was closely fought. Test matches were closely fought. India missed their opportunity, had great opportunities to go 2-3 up, in fact, in the series, but it didn't. It was 2-1 at the end of 3 tests, and then at the end of 4 tests, Manchester was drawn. England could have won that test match to win the series, but that didn't happen. And then the final test match, of course, that Mohammad Siraj's brilliance and India leveling the series in iconic fashion. So I think this test series of India versus England 2025 really ranks very high in my estimation, up there with the Border Gavaskar series of 2021 in COVID times, the Border Gavaskar series 3 test matches, 2001, Ashes series of 2005, 2023, and 2019. And of course, that India Australia series way back in 1977-78, and the India West Indies series of 1974-75. So many good test series I have talked about here, and I think England versus India test series 2025 is one of the finest test series that have ever been played in test cricket. So bye for now. Keep listening and keep subscribing. Thank you.